Welcome to today's broadcast. My name is Colleen Patterson, and I'm the Director of Employer Services and Compliance at Savoy. On Wednesday, April 29th, the Department of Labor, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Treasury Departments issued a joint notice extending certain timeframes affecting a participant's rights. At a high level, the notice includes important guidance and extensions of various deadlines. The agencies believe that immediate relief is needed to preserve and protect the benefits of participants and beneficiaries in employee benefit plans during the national emergency. The IRS and DOL regulation is particularly noteworthy because it provides an extended period for employees to elect health coverage retroactively. All group health plans, disability, and other employee welfare plans, and all pension plans that are all subject to ERISA or even the Internal Revenue Code must disregard the outbreak period for purposes of determining certain deadlines. So we're hearing a new term for the first time, and that is outbreak period. So what is the outbreak period? The outbreak period runs from March 1st, 2020 until 60 days after the COVID-19 national emergency ends, or the date that the agencies actually announce. If there are different outbreak period end dates for different parts of the country, the agencies will issue additional guidance for those relevant areas. Actions that are required to be taken during the outbreak period are extended until after the outbreak period ends. So this applies to items such as special enrollment periods for enrolling in a health plan after a loss of coverage, or acquiring a new dependent due to a birth, marriage, adoption, etc. Also, the period to elect COBRA coverage. In addition to that, the deadline to pay COBRA premiums. Also, the period to file a claim or appeal for benefits, and the period to request external review under a health plan, as well as the deadline for a plan to provide COBRA election notices. So this is a lot of information. So I thought it would be best to go over an example. So let's suppose an employee terminated employment and lost health coverage on February 29th, 2020. The employer, in the normal world and practice of COBRA prior to the pandemic, the employer would have had 14 days to provide a COBRA election notice. And in my example, that deadline would be March 14th, 2020. And the employee, under normal circumstances, would then have had 60 days to make an election. So in my example, the deadline would have been May 13th, 2020. And as we know, the employee would have another 45 days to make the first premium payment. In this example, that would be June 27th, 2020. Now insert this new guidance. So with this extension, the period from March 1st, 2020 until 60 days after the national emergency ends is disregarded. Assuming that the COBRA notice would have already been provided, this means that the employee would have until 120 days after the national emergency ends to elect COBRA, and it would be retroactive to March 1st, 2020. And then they have another 45 days after that to make the first premium payment. So these are some significant changes to the way that we know COBRA today. The guidance provides a number of other helpful examples illustrating how this relief will actually operate. Unfortunately, the guidance does not get into details on logistics for implementation. As of now, there is no guidance provided on what changes must be made to COBRA notices or any other notices due to the list of options that we had provided, or any changes that may need to be made to summary plan descriptions. Also, no guidance is provided on how to resolve terminations of COBRA coverage for failure to pay March premiums, which would be part of this relief period. There remain more questions than answers for plan sponsors and fiduciaries who will need to cope with these new issues. So more guidance is for sure to be released. In other Department of Labor news, the DOL issued frequently asked questions to help employee benefit plan participants and beneficiaries, as well as plan sponsors and employers impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak, understand their rights and responsibilities under Title I of ERISA. So those frequently asked questions, we have added them to the COVID-19 resources section of our website. And they definitely are pretty good. You certainly want to take a look at that. Lastly, for today, believe it or not, we are almost 7 weeks into observing shelter at home and/or shelter in place orders. As states begin to slowly roll out reopening plans, meeting required safeguards, and complying with ongoing monitoring will become a critical component to getting businesses back to work. We are actively researching and in discussions with partners who can provide these services. Stay tuned for more information because we will be releasing more info in the near future. As the week comes to a close and we spring into the month of May, which is actually next week, we anticipate the next few weeks to be very active on the regulatory front as Congress is returning to Washington on Monday. On the agenda is the anticipated fourth installment of a stimulus package to further provide assistance to employers and health insurers, among some other items that's expected to be in the package. We remain committed to providing you with the most up-to-date information that you have come to know and appreciate. Thank you for your partnership and support during these unprecedented times. As we begin to navigate the next phase of reopening our communities after the national emergency, we will take the next step together as we have done from the very beginning. As always, should you have any questions, please reach out to your dedicated Savoy team and continue to use the resources available in the COVID-19 section of our website at savoyassociates.com. From all of us at Savoy, stay healthy and safe. Thank you for joining us today.